In this video, we're going to learn how to make Byzantine or Byzantine chain, which is a simple set of jump rings that are assembled in such a way that it makes this birdcage shape. It's also referred to sometimes as a birdcage chain, so each of these names are perfectly correct for this type of chain. The chain itself is assembled with 5 to 6 steps, all of which I'll go through in this video step by step so that you can see just how simple it is to make a chain that's so pretty and detailed like this. Your first step is to interlock 6 jump rings together, like what's shown here. I have 2 needles holding these 2 outer sets of jump rings apart so that you can easily see what's going on. If you wanted to, you could use closed jump rings for the very center, but throughout this whole project I opted to use 18 gauge jump rings, or item number JR753. They seem to work out the best. If you use thinner gauged wire, such as 22 or 24, you run the risk, while wearing this bracelet, of the jump rings actually coming apart. So whenever you can, try to use 18, 16, or you can even get away with 20 gauge wire. This is the first step, and this is what you'll be building off of. At this point in time, don't worry about these jump rings on the left-hand side. You'll be working from left to right, so focus your attention over here to the rightmost 2 jump rings. When working with open jump rings for chainmail projects, you'll open and close jump rings the same way. With other projects, you can simply close them, and that's all that you need to do. With chainmail projects, continue to close until you hear a snap. This lets you know that the jump ring is at its closest possible point, and there's no way that the jump ring could get any closer. The gap is as thin as it can get, and this is what you want for any of your chainmail projects. After you have your 6 jump rings assembled, take your 2 jump rings that are on the right side and fold them back. When you split the 2 middle jump rings apart, you'll see the other side of those right jump rings peeking out from in back of the middle jump rings. You'll see them right here. I'm pointing to them with my chain nose pliers. Grab this part with your chain nose pliers, reposition your fingers, and now when you look at it from the side, you'll see a little hole that you'll stick another open jump ring into. Now this is what your chain will look like with only 1 jump ring attached. Open up another jump ring and thread this through the same way that you did that first jump ring. Now at this point, your chainmail should look like this. You have 2 jump rings that form a V on the side of your chainmail. The point of this V should be facing towards the right. If I twist my chainmail around, and now I'm looking at it from the top, I have 2 jump rings that are forming yet another V, only this time they're facing towards the left. So there's the side, and there's the top. While it may not look like much right now, it will in the next couple of links, so let's continue. So here were the 2 right jump rings that you attached in the last step. Your next step after this is to attach 2 more jump rings right here. Your next step, and the only really tricky part of Byzantine or Byzantine chain, is to actually split these 2 jump rings apart, fit another jump ring on the outside with 2 closed jump rings in between these 2 right jump rings. And sure, that does sound like a lot, but I'm going to show you exactly how easy it is. So I'm taking one of my open jump rings, and I'm threading it through one of these jump rings, not both, because I have to attach 2 closed jump rings, and then pick my work back up, and then I can thread it through the other jump ring. Now take your chain nose pliers and close this jump ring nice and securely. This is what one jump ring looks like. This is our open jump ring that we just got through attaching with the 2 closed jump rings in between the 2 rightmost jump rings that we started with at the beginning of this step. Now that you have one attached, attach another open jump ring, this time going through the other side of your chain and going through those same 2 closed jump rings. So now this is what your link should look like. And this is one group in your whole chainmail for your Byzantine or Byzantine chain. These are those 2 closed jump rings that we were threading the open jump ring, which is right here in a C shape, around. You have an open circle right here in the middle, And then remember how in the beginning I was telling you about the V shape? You should have another V shape, this time heading in the opposite direction on the other side of the link. And the same should go for the top. This V shape should be pointing to the left, and this V shape right here that we just created with those two open jump rings, the ones that we connected to the two closed jump rings, should be facing towards the right. This is one link, like I said before. To continue with this chainmail weaving, you simply repeat all your steps over and over again. So I'll show you how to continue on with this link, and then you can make as long as a chain as you want for bracelets or even necklaces. And now you're going to attach another set of jump rings. This whole set right here should remind you of the very first 6 jump rings that you assembled. Now, just like before, you'll take those 2 jump rings that you had on the right, fold them back. Spread the 2 middle jump rings that you see, and you'll see those 2 right jump rings again, this time right next to each other. Slide an open jump ring through those 2, connect it, and then add another jump ring the same way that you did this open jump ring that I have here right now. So here's those 2 jump rings that we attached to the right jump rings that got folded back. Now you'll attach 2 more jump rings to the ones that you just put onto your chainmail weaving. Now with these 2 jump rings that are left on the right hand side, we've approached that tricky part in the chainmail weaving again. This is the part where you take an open jump ring, slide it through that bottom jump ring, like so, take 2 closed jump rings, and then go through that top jump ring, and then close that jump ring. Repeat this for the other side of the weaving as well. So here we are with the second link out of our whole weaving done. These are the 2 open jump rings that you threaded through the right jump rings in our last step, and then here are the 2 closed jump rings right here on the chain nose pliers. Now for your next step, you'll attach another set of jump rings and 1 more set of jump rings, and you'll be right back to square one. So at this point we've made our bracelet as long as we've wanted to, and now we're going to come back to the very beginning of our bracelet. These are those 2 jump rings that were on the left hand side that I told you to ignore in the very beginning of this video. Now this is where you're going to attach the circle half of your toggle clasp, and the easiest way to do that is to pick up an open jump ring like this, and this already has the toggle clasp half attached to it, and you simply go through those 2 leftmost jump rings that were ignored throughout this whole video. Thread the jump ring through and then close the jump ring like so. So one end of our bracelet is already done. Now for the other side. When finishing, this step was the step where we left off in the previous segment. Here are the 2 open jump rings that we fit through 2 more open jump rings with 2 closed jump rings in between. This is that tricky part. But in the end, you'll be left with 2 jump rings, just like you were left with 2 jump rings on the other side. So both of these sides match perfectly. Now for the bar half of the toggle clasp, because remember, bar sides of toggle clasps need to have enough clearance to be able to fit through the ring to fit and work properly, I've attached 2 jump rings to one another. Now with this open jump ring, I'll go through those 2, like so, and then close the jump ring like that. If you want to, when attaching toggle clasps, you can also use the same size in an oval jump ring. So if you have a 7mm oval jump ring, you can use that as well.